Silent thunder. The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Alliance fell silent as Ambassador Elena Vega approached the speaker's podium. 342 alien species watched with varying degrees of interest, curiosity, and in some cases, disdain. Humans had only been part of the Alliance for 5 standard cycles, barely a blink in cosmic time. Above the chamber, holographic displays showed the dispute zone, Proxima Centauri b, humanity's third extrasolar colony. Rich in rare minerals and strategically positioned, it had become the focus of the Vorchan Empire's expansion plans. The Vorchans, apex predators evolved from pack hunters with armored exoskeletons and renowned for their military might, had dominated their sector for millennia. The human cooperative appreciates the Alliance's concerns regarding the territorial dispute at Proxima Centauri. Elena began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. However, we must respectfully decline the Vorchan Empire's demand that we abandon our legally established colony. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Most species had expected humans to capitulate. With only a handful of colony worlds and a modest fleet, how could they possibly stand against the Vorchans? High Commander Drox of the Vorchan Empire rose from his seat, towering 3 meters tall. His armored plates clicked as he moved, secondary limbs flexing with agitation. "This council grows tiresome," he rumbled, voice modulator barely softening the natural aggression in his tone. The humans cling to technicalities while ignoring realities. The Proxima system lies on the natural expansion path of our empire. Their presence impedes the prosperity of a founding member of this alliance. Elena maintained her composure. The Proxima system was unclaimed when we established our colony 7 years ago. We followed all proper registration protocols with the Alliance Colonial Office. Protocols. Drox's secondary breathing vents flared. The Vorchan Empire existed for 20,000 cycles before your species harnessed electricity. Your colony blocks resources vital to our military readiness. The galaxy grows more dangerous. We require those resources. Behind Elena stood Admiral James Chen, Earth's military attaché. He remained perfectly still, hands clasped behind his back, face impassive as he observed the proceedings. The Malaxi Mediator, a crystalline entity whose species specialized in conflict resolution, attempted to intervene. "Perhaps we might discuss a shared resource agreement. The human colony infrastructure cold." "There will be no sharing," Drox interrupted. "The Vorchan Empire formally invokes Article 87 of the Alliance Charter, the right of superior claim." A collective gasp echoed through the chamber. Article 87 was an ancient provision, rarely invoked, allowing limited military conflict to settle territorial disputes without triggering full-scale war. The challenging power would face the challenged in a contained battle zone, with the victor claiming the disputed territory. "This is irregular," the mediator protested. "The article is intended as a last resort after." "The Vorchan Empire has made its decision," Drox cut in. "Unless the humans withdraw immediately, we will enforce our claim through sanctioned military action." All eyes turned to the human delegation. Most delegates expected immediate capitulation. Human ships were known to be functional but unrefined, their weapons effective but unsophisticated compared to the Vorchan's battle-tested fleet. Admiral Chen leaned forward and whispered something in Ambassador Vega's ear. She listened, nodded once, and straightened her shoulders. "The human cooperative acknowledges your challenge," Elena announced, her voice unwavering. "As the challenged party, we select the Ta City neutral zone as the engagement location. Standard Alliance battle protocols will apply." Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the chamber. The Vorchan delegation exchanged glances, their body language betraying momentary confusion before Drox regained his composure. "The Vorchans accept these terms," he declared. "In 7 rotations, we will demonstrate why some species should recognize their proper place in the cosmic hierarchy." As the Alliance mediator hurriedly reviewed the ancient protocols for formalized military engagement, Admiral Chen received a neural communication. After processing it, He touched Ambassador Vega's shoulder and whispered again. "One final matter." Elena addressed the chamber. "Given the formal nature of this challenge, the Human Cooperative wishes to inform the Alliance that all previous diplomatic conventions will be suspended during the engagement. Earth will be operating under Protocol Thunderhead." The statement meant nothing to most delegates, but those closest to the human delegation noticed Admiral Chen adjust his uniform cuffs with understated precision. "Hide behind your cryptic protocols if you wish," Drox dismissed with a gesture. "The outcome is predetermined. The Vorchan Empire has never lost a formal challenge." "Neither have humans," Elena replied simply. "We look forward to a productive exchange." As the human delegation departed, Alliance observers noted how other species subtly moved aside, creating a wider path than protocol required. Despite humanity's reputation for accommodation and restraint, something about their quiet confidence after accepting an apparently hopeless challenge left the chamber buzzing with speculation. In the Alliance Security Monitoring Center, Chief Analyst Trinlox of the Ardani Collective turned to his Zelvan colleague. "What is this Protocol Thunderhead?" the human mentioned. The Zelvan data specialist accessed the limited Alliance records on Earth's military structure. After several moments, she looked up with an expression her species displayed when deeply confused. "I can find only one reference," she replied. In a recorded statement from Earth's Joint Chiefs during their Alliance admission briefing, when asked about human military doctrine, Admiral Fatima Rais stated, "Earth operates under 16 standard diplomatic protocols in interstellar relations. Protocol Thunderhead simply states, 'Stop being polite.'" Chief Analyst Trinlox's sensory appendages twitched in bewilderment. "That's it? Stop being polite. What does that even mean?" The Zelvan's crystalline eyes dimmed in what translated as concern. "I don't know, but I recommend we strengthen the observation shields for the Ta-CD neutral zone." 7 days later, the galaxy would understand exactly what happened when humans stopped being polite. In the intervening days, speculation ran rampant throughout Alliance space. Betting pools across 17 sectors heavily favored the Vorchans, offering absurd odds on human victory. Most military analysts predicted a swift, decisive demonstration of Vorchan superiority, with humans likely surrendering after the first engagement to minimize losses. On the eve of the confrontation, the diplomatic office of the Malaxi mediator received an unusual request. Earth had invited senior representatives from each Alliance Council race to observe the engagement from an Earth vessel. This unprecedented move raised eyebrows. Was this some kind of public relations attempt to save face before an inevitable defeat? Curiosity won out. 27 representatives, including some military attaches, arrived at Earth's modest orbital platform around Ta-CD to be escorted to the observation vessel. What they found was puzzling. The human fleet consisted of just 14 ships, a mix of cruisers, destroyers, and support vessels. They appeared exactly as intelligence reports had described, functional but unimpressive, with visible weld marks, exposed heat radiators, and bulky silhouettes. The observation ship, the ECS Galileo, welcomed the Alliance representatives with professional courtesy. Captain Sofia Rodriguez greeted them in the observation lounge, where view screens displayed the gathering human fleet moving into a textbook defensive formation. "What we're seeing is exactly what we expected," the Ardani representative commented, sensory tendrils waving in confusion. "Your fleet appears identical to the specifications registered with the Alliance." Captain Rodriguez smiled politely. "The Human Cooperative has always been transparent regarding our capabilities." "Then I must ask," the Zelvan military attaché said bluntly, "what do you hope to achieve? The Vorchan battle group will outnumber you 3-1, with ships that have proven themselves in dozens of conflicts." Rodriguez checked her neural interface. Admiral Chen is about to address the fleet. Perhaps that will provide some context. On the main screen, Admiral Chen appeared from the bridge of the flagship ECS Determination. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen. The Vorchan fleet will arrive in approximately 40 minutes. For 5 years, we have operated under the diplomatic constraints of First Contact Protocol. Today, by formal declaration, those constraints are lifted. Chen's expression remained professional, but a subtle change came over his demeanor. Initiate Protocol Thunderhead. Authorization, Chen Epsilon Horizon Awakening. Throughout the human fleet, something remarkable began to happen. What had appeared to be crude hull plates started to shift, revealing previously concealed structures beneath. Propulsion systems reconfigured, weapon ports unsealed, and energy signatures that had registered as standard fusion drives transformed into something far more sophisticated. In the observation lounge, the Alliance representatives watched in stunned silence as the seemingly basic human vessels metamorphosed before their eyes. "What are we witnessing?" asked the Malaxi representative, crystalline form vibrating with agitation. Captain Rodriguez's smile remained, but it had taken on a different quality. Earth has maintained certain technological capabilities in reserve. Protocol Thunderhead authorizes their deployment. The Alliance representatives exchanged alarmed glances as the implications became clear. For 5 years, humanity had presented itself as technologically competent but unremarkable, a young species still finding its footing in the interstellar community. "You've been concealing your true capabilities," the Zelvan representative stated, multifaceted eyes pulsing with light patterns indicating alarm. "This violates Alliance transparency requirements." With respect, Rodriguez replied, "Earth has violated nothing. We've exercised discretion regarding optional disclosure provisions. Section 42.7 of the Alliance Charter specifically permits member species to maintain technological sovereignty over innovations not directly derived from shared Alliance knowledge." On the view screens, the transformation continued. What had appeared to be 14 modest military vessels had reconfigured into something far more formidable. Stealth field generators, previously dormant, activated to create overlapping defensive matrices. Advanced weapon systems, previously disguised as standard mass accelerators, revealed their true nature as directed energy platforms far beyond what Earth had demonstrated publicly. "The Vorchan fleet has transitioned to normal space," announced the ship's eye. 39 vessels confirmed, heavy battlecruiser configuration with escort formations. "Implement Phase 2, came Admiral Chen's calm voice over the fleet-wide channel. Throughout the human fleet, specialized compartments opened to release what appeared to be fighter craft, but unlike any the Alliance had observed from Earth before. These vessels moved with impossible agility, their propulsion systems leaving no energy signature detectable by standard Alliance scanning technology. "Those craft are manipulating localized space-time," the Ardani scientist exclaimed, sensory tendrils rigid with shock. "That technology is theoretically impossible for a species at your development stage." Captain Rodriguez merely raised an eyebrow. "Is it?" As the Vorchan fleet approached with confident precision, their formations displayed the arrogance of a predator that had never faced a serious challenge. Their communication channels broadcast on all frequencies, ensuring the entire Alliance could witness their expected triumph. "Attention human vessels," High Commander Drox's voice resonated through the observation lounge. "The Vorchan Empire offers one final opportunity to withdraw with honor. Surrender now, and we will permit your species to maintain your home system and 2 colony worlds of our choosing." Admiral Chen's response was measured and calm. "This is Admiral James Chen of the Human Cooperative. We acknowledge your communication." After a perfectly calculated pause, he added, "Request denied. Then prepare to witness the consequences of your arrogance." Drox responded, "The galaxy will remember this as the day humanity learned its proper place in the cosmic order." As the Vorchan fleet moved into attack formation, the human fighters accelerated toward them with precision that bordered on precognitive. The first Vorchan volley, impressive displays of destructive capability that should have annihilated the seemingly vulnerable human forces, instead passed through empty space as the human craft simply weren't where the attacks landed. In the observation lounge, The Alliance representatives watched in growing astonishment as what should have been a simple demonstration of Vorchan military superiority transformed into something none had anticipated: uncertainty in the previously undefeated Vorchan ranks. Storm unveiled. High Commander Drox's flagship, the Indomitable Will, shuddered as another precision strike from the human fleet bypassed shields that had protected Vorchan warships for millennia. Alarms blared across the command deck as systems failed in cascading sequence. Impossible. Drox hissed through mandibles, now flaring with stress chemicals. Their targeting algorithms are bypassing defensive phases that should be undetectable. Sir, his tactical officer reported grimly, carapace dulling with combat fatigue. We've lost 27% of the fleet. The humans are systematically disabling our ships rather than destroying them. They mock us with mercy. Drox's armored plates clattered in fury. Prepare the Sundering Protocol. If we cannot win this challenge, we will ensure the humans gain nothing but ashes. The Sundering Protocol, a last resort weapon system that created localized space-time ruptures, was technically forbidden under Alliance conventions. But Drox had not survived and thrived for centuries by adhering to rules when victory was at stake. Aboard the ECS Determination, Admiral Chen observed the tactical display with quiet intensity. The Vorchan flagship is powering up their main singularity core beyond recommended parameters, reported his tactical officer, Commander Patel. Energy signatures match theoretical models of prohibited sundering technology. Chen nodded once. Implement countermeasure Aegis. Authorization Chen Gamma Shield activation. Across the human fleet, previously concealed energy projectors synchronized their outputs, creating a complex geometric pattern of intersecting fields between the human forces and the Vorchan flagship. As the Vorchans launched their desperation attack, a blinding pulse of gravitational distortion, the human countermeasure caught it like a net, containing and gradually dispersing the energy. In the observation lounge of the Galileo, the Alliance representatives watched in stunned silence. They just neutralized a sundering device, whispered the Ardani scientist, their sensory appendages trembling. That's supposed to be impossible. The energy requirements alone would. I think, Captain Rodriguez said quietly, it's time we explained a few things about humanity. On the main view screen, the battle had turned decisively. Human ships engaged with surgical precision, disabling Vorchan vessels while minimizing casualties. The fighter craft executed maneuvers that seemed to anticipate Vorchan tactics seconds before they developed. Humanity evolved on what your scientists classified as a Class 12 death world. Rodriguez began, her tone conversational. Earth's gravity is 1.3 times what most Alliance species consider comfortable. Our atmosphere contains reactive oxygen that would be toxic to many of you. We evolved alongside thousands of predatory species in environments ranging from Arctic ice to scorching deserts. The human fleet deployed what appeared to be boarding craft toward disabled Vorchan vessels. When we discovered we weren't alone in the universe, Rodriguez continued, we made a strategic decision. We would enter galactic society not as conquerors or threats, but as students and partners. We would learn, observe, and integrate, all while maintaining sufficient protective capability should it become necessary. On the tactical display, the last functional Vorchan vessels, including the flagship, signaled surrender. The brief but decisive engagement had lasted less than 40 minutes. The Vorchans made a fundamental error, Rodriguez explained as the Alliance representatives processed what they had witnessed. They mistook our politeness for weakness, our restraint for limitation, our patience for fear. Admiral Chen's voice came through the ship-wide communication system. This is Admiral Chen to all vessels. The Vorchan fleet has surrendered. Secure all disabled vessels and prepare medical teams for injured Vorchan personnel. The Malaxi representative's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. I don't understand. If you possess this level of technology, why maintain the deception? Why hide your true capabilities from your allies? Rodriguez's expression softened slightly. Our history is filled with painful lessons about revealing strengths prematurely. When technologically disparate cultures meet, fear often dictates the response. We chose to enter the galactic community on terms that wouldn't trigger defensive reactions. But surely after joining the alliance, the Zelvan representative began. "We observed," Rodriguez said simply. "We watched how the Vorchans and others treated species they perceived as technologically inferior. We noticed how the Ardani Collective quietly stockpiles antimatter weapons against Alliance regulations." The Ardani representative's tendrils stiffened in alarm. "We saw how the Zelvan Directorate has been building military outposts in supposedly protected neutral zones." The representatives shifted uncomfortably under her steady gaze. "Humanity came in peace," Rodriguez continued, "genuinely seeking cooperation and mutual advancement. But we aren't naive. We maintained our capabilities in reserve while hoping they would never be needed." She gestured toward the view screen showing the aftermath of the battle. "This is what happens when humans stop being polite." As the observation vessel moved closer to the engagement zone, the representatives could see human teams boarding disabled Vorchan ships. Rather than the expected looting or prisoner extraction, they appeared to be providing emergency medical assistance to injured Vorchans. "You're helping them?" the Malaxi representative asked, confusion evident in their harmonic voice. After they attempted to use a sundering device. "Of course," Rodriguez replied as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "The engagement is over. They're no longer combatants. They're people who need medical attention." The Zelvan military attaché studied Rodriguez closely. "You could have destroyed the entire Vorchan fleet. Why didn't you?" "That wasn't our objective," she answered. "Our goal was to end the immediate threat and demonstrate that humanity cannot be coerced. Annihilation would have created long-term enmity without serving any strategic purpose." On the main communication channel, a transmission from the Vorchan flagship appeared. High Commander Drox, visibly injured but maintaining his dignity, addressed Admiral Chen. "The Vorchan Empire acknowledges defeat in this challenge," he stated formally. "The disputed territory at Proxima Centauri is rightfully yours under Alliance law." Chen's response was measured. "The human cooperative accepts your acknowledgement. Medical teams have been dispatched to assist your wounded. When stabilized, your vessels will be permitted to return to Vorchan space." Drox's compound eyes narrowed. "You offer aid after defeating us. Is this some form of human mockery?" "No, Commander," Chen replied. "It's just who we are. We didn't want this conflict. We don't celebrate your losses. We simply refuse to be bullied." After the transmission ended, the observation lounge fell silent. The Alliance representatives struggled to reconcile what they had witnessed with their previous understanding of humanity. "What happens now?" the Ardani representative finally asked. "After this display, many species will view humans with concern." Rodriguez smiled, a genuine expression that reached her eyes. "Now we return to being polite, diplomatic partners in the Alliance. We have no territorial ambitions beyond our existing claims. We seek peaceful coexistence and mutual advancement." "But everything has changed," the Zelvan insisted. "The power dynamic of the entire Alliance will shift once this becomes known." "Perhaps that's necessary," Rodriguez suggested. "A recalibration based on reality rather than assumptions. But our fundamental approach hasn't changed. We still prefer diplomacy over conflict, cooperation over competition." She looked at each representative in turn. "We hope what you've witnessed today leads not to fear, but to more honest engagement. Humanity doesn't want to dominate. We want to collaborate as equals. We simply needed to establish that we won't be dominated either." In the days that followed, news of the engagement spread throughout Alliance space. Detailed accounts, enhanced by footage from the observation vessel, transformed the galaxy's perception of humanity overnight. Species that had dismissed humans as technological novices now reassessed their intelligence reports. Those who had planned to pressure Earth's colonies suddenly found diplomatic reasons to delay. In the Grand Council chamber, Ambassador Elena Vega addressed the Alliance representatives with the same quiet confidence she had shown before the engagement. The chamber, once dismissive of human concerns, now listened with undivided attention. The human cooperative remains committed to the principles and purpose of the Galactic Alliance, she affirmed. We desire peaceful relations with all species, including the Vorchan Empire. The recent military engagement was regrettable but necessary to establish mutual respect. She paused, her gaze steady as she surveyed the chamber. Humanity has existed for a mere instant in cosmic time. We are still learning, still growing. We have made mistakes, and will make more. But one thing we have learned well from our own history: peace through strength is more reliable than peace through acquiescence. High Commander Drox, recovered from his injuries but diminished in stature, rose to speak. The Vorchan Empire acknowledges the skill and restraint demonstrated by human forces. We withdraw our claims to Proxima Centauri and propose a formal non-aggression pact between our peoples. Vega nodded graciously. The human cooperative accepts and welcomes this proposal. We look forward to a relationship based on mutual respect and cooperation. As the formal proceedings concluded, Vega was approached by the Malaxi mediator. Ambassador, the crystalline entity's harmonic voice conveyed curiosity. There is much discussion about this protocol thunderhead. Many species now wonder, if this is humanity when you stop being polite, what might you be capable of if truly provoked? Vega's smile was diplomatic yet carried a subtle weight. Let us hope the galaxy never needs to find out. Humanity greatly prefers being polite. In the observation gallery, Admiral Chen stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the diplomatic exchange below. A junior officer approached, offering a datapad. Admiral, Fleet Command has approved the construction of the defensive network around our outer colonies. Operation Quiet Shield will proceed on schedule. Chen nodded, his expression revealing nothing. Excellent. And remember, Lieutenant. I know, sir, the young officer replied with a slight smile. We should always be polite. Indeed, Chen agreed, turning back to watch the proceedings. But we should always be prepared for when politeness is no longer an option. Across the galaxy, species that had once dismissed humanity reassessed their positions. Intelligence agencies scrambled to determine what other capabilities Earth might be concealing. Military planners revised threat assessments and defensive postures. And throughout it all, human representatives continued to attend diplomatic functions, offer technological and cultural exchange, and behave with the same polite restraint they had always shown. The only difference was that now, when a human diplomat smiled and offered a reasonable compromise, no one mistook their politeness for weakness ever again.